set.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Erie County Department of Mental Health 2026 contracts. This session is being recorded. If there are questions, please put them in a chat and we will try to answer the questions as we go. If not, there will be time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. So we will do some introductions with the team that is on the call today. First, we got Amy Rockwood, who is the Director of Planning and Evaluation, Tara Karolewski, Kathleen Larson, and myself, Stacy Sinclair, who are your contract coordinators, Melissa Stark, who is the Contract Specialist in Insurance, and our fiscal team is Dave Spadone, who is the Director, Alicia Delecki, who is our Assistant Director, and Gabriella Miller Bishop, who is our Accountant. Our agenda for today, some of the topics that we will be covering is why are we doing this, changes for 2026, a brief overview of the contract process, common problems and how to avoid them, and where to get more information and who to contact if you have any questions. And then there will be time for questions and answers at the end. So why are we doing this? We are doing this to make the process more efficient for you and for us, to reduce the number of times we have to go back and forth with agencies, to improve the quality and clarity for our contract documents, to ensure you get paid more quickly. We cannot pay you for any 2026 invoices until your contract is fully executed, to address any questions that you may have, and to improve the communication and share expectations.
Okay, so what's new in 2026? First off, these webinars. We thought it might be helpful for us as well as our contract agencies to just go over some common pitfalls, some new things that we have going on within that's new for 2026, and just some reminders as we're going through the process to ensure that our contracting season goes as smoothly as it possibly can. There's a few new sections that have been added to the 2026 procedure manual for the Erie County Department of Mental Health contract agencies. There was a section added related to the limited English proficiency and the 2026 language access law certification. This section was added regarding limited English proficiency that states the agencies are required to provide clients who are limited English proficient with meaningful access to mental health treatment in their primary language. To ensure compliance that your agency is providing access to clients with limited English proficiency, you'll need to complete an attestation that you are in full compliance with the applicable language access laws. This attestation will need to be signed and returned with your initial contract. You will find this within the part of the boilerplate that will be sent to you with the start letter. We've added some additional information as it relates to the mental hygiene law of the 945 designees. So there's been updates related to new information that includes qualifications for who is a 945 designee, how to apply for a 945 designee status, functions and responsibilities of designees, responsibilities of the organization employing these designees. If this is something that's applicable to your agency, please review the procedure manual, pages 12 through 18. We are also going to put in some possible temporary payment withholds. If an agency is late in submitting the required reports, an agency may be subject to a temporary payment withhold. We're asking that reports are both submitted. Reports need to be submitted and approved by ECDMH. Please be responsive and timely in any sort of communication that you have with your contract coordinator as it relates to revisions, corrections, or if there are any questions. Please also direct any fiscal related concerns to the fiscal team, including your contract coordinator with that communication. The goal of this action is to make us all more accountable and also reduce the back and forth and follow-up that's needed to make sure that things are submitted within the required time frames. We also are going to have some conversation about updated scopes of services, and we'll talk more about that in a couple of slides in our future part of this presentation.
Good afternoon. Sorry, my camera's not working today, but here's an overview of the contract process. And just so there's no confusion, when Tara mentioned contract boilerplate, she is referring to your initial contract. So listed below is the actual order of how this contract season goes down. First, you got a contract call letter, a kickoff email. Everyone is in receipt of that. Second, the email from your assigned contract coordinator has now happened. You are in receipt of the documents that need to be completed and returned to your contract coordinator and your scopes of service that need to be updated. Third, you will get an email that will enclose your funding documents, which are the PFSD, FAS, and that will be an email that will come from fiscal once your contract coordinator documents have been submitted and are approved by your contract coordinator. Can whoever has their volume on, please mute. Step 4 is the actual initial contract process. You will receive a start letter from myself. This will enclose, will have attached your initial contract boilerplate. The LEP certification that you'll need to complete is now part of that contract document. It will not be a separate attachment. All the attachments that need to be completed for the initial contract will be included in the start letter. To follow that will be a finished letter that will enclose your fully executed contract for your records. And once your contract is fully executed, number 5 can happen. If your invoice has been submitted and all is in order, your payment will be able to be processed. And we just want to bring to your attention that attachment A that was included in the contract call letter kickoff email, that is a very important reference document that you should all have saved to your computers so that you can access our website and the necessary reference documents that you'll need to complete your contracts. Thank you.
So by now you have received your email from your contract coordinator. In that email, we identified the forms that you need to be complete and returned. Those forms are the corporate compliance, the ECDMH disaster preparedness contacts and COOP, the CC contract document submission checklist, as well as the scope of service guidance. We are going to talk about the scopes of service, but part of that email was including instructions on how to download and update your scopes of service and what should be included specifically in your scopes of service document. This year, we're asking providers to be more detailed with the services that are being provided under the Erie County Department of Mental Health contract. Please be sure to use track changes when you are making edits to the scopes of service. Utilize the CC contract document submission checklist to make sure that when you're submitting your contract to your contract coordinator that you have all of the required documents. Please make sure that you are sending all of the documents in one email so we don't lose track of any of your submissions. Because some agencies have a lot of scopes of service, if you need to break up your email submission into 2 emails, you can feel free to do that with keeping the scopes of services together and the other documents separate. Just please make sure you're using the naming convention we identified in your contract coordinator email, again, so we don't lose track of any of those important documents you're submitting to us. The due date for all forms and the scopes of service is November 14th. We look forward to getting those submissions. We've actually already gotten some already, so kudos to those agencies that have made submissions already. Kathleen, over to you.
Thanks, Tara.
Yep.
Just to touch on the scopes of services a little more in detail, we are taking a closer review and asking agencies to do the same for 2026. The majority of our scopes of services, the information from 2025 has rolled over into the draft 2026 documents. So please just take the time to review those in detail. We want to make sure that they are comprehensive, that they touch on all necessary information to describe that service, that someone who may be unfamiliar with that service could pick up and know what that program provides. Things we're looking for in the scope of services now, a lot of those who, what, where questions. What is the service to be delivered? How will it be delivered? Where? Is it in person? Is it remote? Is it at the agency? Is it a community location? Why? What is the purpose of the service being delivered? Just make sure that program description section is detailed and includes that information. To note a few changes as well, in the notes section on that scope of service, we're asking all programs this year to provide the FTE by type of staff that are being paid for with the ECDMH contracted dollars. So in that note section, if you could outline your FTEs, whether it be case managers, clinicians, housing specialists, please outline the FTEs by type of staff that is included with that program. Another note is for those agencies that do not contract with ECDMH for clinic services, whether it be SUD clinic, mental health clinic, child and adult, we actually will not have scopes of services this year. You will continue to report in ClearPoint, but just note that if you don't see a draft scope of service for that clinic program, there isn't one required this year. Another note along scopes of services, for those agencies that have HUD scopes of services, Act, case management, where we've included that standard language, please keep that language still the same, even though we are looking at these with a new lens. You can add in addition to that if there's something in particular, but please keep that standard language the same. The next slide here talks about our scope of service guidance document. I know it's small, but you don't necessarily need to read it. What we'd like to note here is this particular guidance document. We developed a template to assist agencies in reviewing those scopes of services for the information that we're looking for. It was attached to the contract coordinator email that came out from your contract coordinator. So please reference back to that, and we'd even suggest before you start reviewing your scopes of services, take a look at that. That way you know some of those questions that we're looking for, so that when you're reviewing it, you can note things that might need to be changed or updated. Any questions, obviously, in relation to the scopes of services, just reach out to your contract coordinator. Thanks, Amy.
Okay, funding documents. So in early December of 2025, you will receive an email from myself with 2 attachments. One will be the program funding source detail, and the other will be the funding authorization summary, which we short name PFSD and FAS. The PFSD, most of you know, but it's more detailed information about the programs and the funding amounts for each of those programs, along with program codes and funding source codes. And the FAS is more of a summary of your funding. So please review those very carefully. If you have any questions around those, you can email myself and your contract coordinator, and we can answer any questions you may have on that. The amounts will be very similar to your 2025 funding. There could be some annualizations of COLAs, or if there were changes in your funding, you should have been previously notified of those changes. And then you will use those documents, the PFSD, to complete your budget tab of your quarterly cost report. That the budget tab is now due March 15th. It used to be due in mid-January, but we're giving our agencies a little more time because of year-end stuff going on. So March 15th is the new due date for the budget tab of the cost report.
Before I go over insurance, I just want to address Jacob Emmanuel's comment in the chat. We did revise attachment A that was sent with the call letter. If you did not receive that revision, I did send that to everybody that's listed on our contact list. Please go to our actual website for agencies, contract agencies, and select the information for contract agencies tab. The revision has been posted there. Getting back to insurance, if your insurance has expired and we do not have your insurance renewals approved by our county attorney yet, then we cannot pay any invoices. There are no exceptions. This has always been in the contract. However, we are applying this effective immediately. Approved by our county attorney means that we are in full receipt of all of your renewals that expired. And these have been passed on to our county attorney for thorough review and returned to us with a county stamp of approval stating that your renewals met county requirements. And then they have been documented by us as active. Please have your agency insurance contacts calendar all expiration dates. It is the agency's responsibility to submit renewals timely. If you are unsure of what dates to calendar, feel free to send me an email. My address is listed right there, and I will provide a listing of your required insurance with expiration dates to calendar. Your agency insurance contacts must review certificates before sending them to me. Submission should also come from your agency contacts, not from your insurance carrier, so you are in the know of what is needed, what revisions may be needed, and where we are at through the process. Certificates should be sent to me via email only, never in the mail. And each certificate attached should be in an individual PDF, not compiled into one large PDF where I have to determine what is needed and what is not unnecessary. If you have contacts handling insurance that are new to working with the Department of Mental Health, then we can share our PowerPoint and insurance training video as a guide to assist them. Just please email me with this request. Next slide. Regarding the start letter email, the start letter email will contain your initial contract and all other required documents that will need to be reviewed, completed where indicated on. They're all fillable PDFs where anything needs to be filled in, and it needs to be signed in inked signatures. All of the documents will require an ink signature. Detailed instructions for each contract document will be found in the body of the email and also listed on your contract submission checklist. Do not make any changes to our PDF documents. If you see an area that requires revision, you must communicate this by responding to all on the start letter email so we can go in, make these revisions, and then redistribute accordingly. Our county attorney may also need to review and advise upon any of your revisions requested. And if they are deemed acceptable, I will send a revised start letter and distribute the new contract documents with the approved revisions made. If your contract signatory changes at any time, we need to be informed as soon as possible, as their name and title are listed on our contract signature page, and our files need to be updated to reflect this change. We need to implement the change as well on the document. The initial contract documents must be returned in the order instructed by both the email and the contract submission list. It is imperative that your contract submission is printed single-sided, paper clipped, and placed in a flat envelope to my attention, and this can be sent via US mail or hand delivered. It is highly recommended that you send a scan in advance of mailing these documents to me for my review and attention, so I can confirm that your contract has been completed in full prior to placing in the mail. Next slide. The finished letter email, this will include your final fully executed initial contract for your records. Fully executed means that your initial contract with all appendices attached has been reviewed in our county online system by all the county reviewers and was found to be executed by the agency in proper order. The county executive's office must then approve the contract by signing in their ink signature and applying a contract number to your initial contract. This is a 3-layer process and requires time allotted on our end for all these steps to be completed. The estimated time you need to allow for your contract to be fully executed can be anywhere from 2 days up to several weeks, given the busy holiday season and those taking time off and their busy schedules. The finished letter email will be addressed to your listed contract signatory. If they're not listed to receive contract-related documents, they will need to be forwarded this email internally for their records. Your agency's insurance certificates that have been stamped and approved by legal will be found in your Appendix C of the fully executed contract. That means that those certificates met all county requirements, and we ask that you please reference this Appendix C and these certificates when you are requesting and reviewing your insurance renewals.
Thank you, Melissa. Invoicing. You can submit your agency invoice for 25% of your annual contract amount, rounded to the nearest whole dollar, please, no change, via email to the fiscal team that's listed below. For your first quarterly advance payment prior to your contract being fully executed. We will hold this invoice until the contract is fully executed and can proceed with reviewing and processing the invoice into our accounting system once we receive written notification internally that the contract has been fully executed. Once the agency invoice is processed, you will receive an email notification and the invoice will be submitted to the controller's office for their determination of the pay date. It usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks for payment, and we encourage agencies to be set up with ACH. The Q2 advance invoice can be submitted anytime after March 15th and the Q3 invoice after June 15th, each for 25% of your current contract amount at that time, because amendments to your contract can adjust your invoice amount up or down. Q4 advance invoice requires the agency Google Doc Q4 year-to-date forecast tab to be completed and approved prior to processing it. The amount of that advance will be calculated based on the forecasted reimbursable expenses, less all the payments made to date for the current contract year. Anytime the agency insurance policies are not active, the invoice will be held until this has been resolved. One other thing is that I've been getting questions about the Q4 if there's contract amendments after the Q4 has been paid. And yes, there is a possibility that supplemental invoice can be submitted towards the end of the year for any gap. Thank you.
Common problems and how to avoid them. Some of the common problems and how to avoid them is to ensure that you read the emails and instructions thoroughly and carefully. Follow these instructions as they will guide you through the submission process. Please ensure you include your signature checklist. Use track changes for your scope of service. For the scope of service, please do not format the document in any different way. Some of the examples that we have seen in the past is page breaks, changing the font, adding pictures. It takes us a very long time. We have many scopes of services to review. So please just leave the document as is and only use track changes. Please only submit one email to your contract coordinator with each document attached individually. ClearPoint reports, please ensure you have your dates and you know your dates when your reports are due and have them placed on a calendar. ClearPoint reports will be closely monitored for 2026. So ensure that you're aware of your due dates. And lastly, please ensure you just communicate with your contract coordinator if you have any questions or concerns.
Insurance issues that are found, and these are the common ones. We need you to read the Erie County Department of Mental Health insurance renewal request thoroughly. There are instructions that of what you need to do. There's reference documents attached to help you during this process. So please read these emails carefully and forward any of these emails that I send regarding your certificates of insurance onto your insurance carrier. This will, to provide clarity in these emails, I may use bold text for document names or red font where something needs to be removed or revised. This is for your ability to discover what else is needed, what revisions are needed, and so that I can review what I'm requesting when you resubmit. Review your renewals that are sent from your carrier or agent prior to sending them to us. Check that your agency name is correct in the insurance box. Check that your agency's address is listed in the address used for the ECDMH contract. That will be found on your contract. And the certificate holder for any certificate must always be County of Erie. There should be no mention of our department, no room number, and no implication to care of legal or Department of Law. Just plain old County of Erie with the 95 Franklin address. Please refer to your prior year's certificates of insurance. They'll be found in the Appendix E or C on your fully executed contract or amendment. And also I have been sending those along with my insurance requests. Please be sure to look inside the table. If there were X's and Y's inside the insurance table last year, they need to be in there on your renewal year certificates. November through February is the busiest time for renewals, contracts, and amendments, and county staff vacations or holiday time off. So if you have certificates of insurance expiring during this time, please do not wait for a notice to be sent to you in advance of the expirations. Delays in receiving your renewals will cause delays in your agency being paid. Please do not anticipate follow-ups for revisions that have been requested during this time, and return revised certificates of insurance in a timely manner. Once your certificates of insurance appear to be in order and meeting all county requirements, time needs to be allowed for our county attorney to thoroughly review and approve your certificates. This could be a day to several weeks, pending their busy schedule. Issues that we experience with the contract process due to the start letter. We need you to read these emails and instructions thoroughly. Can't stress this enough. Forward this email to anyone that may be assembling your contract package for its return. The instructions are detailed in both the body of the email and on the contract submission cover page that needs to be signed off and boxes checked that all are complete. Send me a scan of your contract submission in advance of its return. I can quickly review and be sure the contract is completed in full before you seal the envelope. The county does not allow any electronic signatures on any document that you receive from Melissa or myself in the start letter email. So anything start letter related always needs to be an inked signature. And we need to receive the originals in order to process. Issues we find with the notary pages are, these are fillable PDFs, except for the date, signature, and notary stamp. These must be stamped legibly by the notary with their commission number and expiration date. If the notary is handwriting this information, instead of a stamp, their full name printed, county of commission, New York State Commission number with the expiration date must all be written out in the notary stamp area and legible. There's now, you'll see an area specifically for that notary stamp listed with this information to guide what is needed in order for that form to pass approval. County must be entered in the caption under State of New York. This will be the county of the Notaries Commission. If they are commissioned in Niagara County, Niagara must be listed above under State of New York. And it must be filled in by the notary. He or she throughout the notary documents must be circled to identify the contract signatory. That will have to be done in ink. The name and title of the contract signatory must be typed exactly as it appears on the signature page. This name should match the signatory's New York State license, no nicknames, and it must be a legal name. Issues with the Erie County Equal Pay Certificate. This must be signed by your corporate officer of the agency in front of a notary public. This is a fillable PDF for the notary where it's indicated on the form. They need to fill in the caption. Again, it's under state. They need to fill in the county of their notary commission. The notary should always complete section B only underneath the verification. If you are using the fillable form, you will not even be allowed to complete section A. So just remember section B of the verification always needs to be completed. Date and signature must be written in ink by the notary. These must be stamped with the commission expiration date or handwritten with all necessary information listed as I just went over. The stamp and or handwriting must be legible. Issues with the business associate agreement. There's a page that I will indicate literally in the document name that needs to be completed with your agency address and to whom attention any notice should go to. So that needs to be completed. It's usually like page 13 or 14, depending on other specific information for your agency that will increase the length of the document or decrease. This can be typed in. It is a fillable PDF in this section. On the signature page, original signature and written date by the authorized agency representative must be completed on the signature page.
Thank you, Melissa. Fiscal issues. You've heard it before. We're asking again, please read the emails and instructions thoroughly and carefully. There is an instruction tab on the Google Doc as well as the very first tab, and that will give a person some information to help. Calendar your agency required report due dates. As mentioned earlier, we did change the date for 2026 for your budget of when it's due. Have at least 1 or 2 employees set up with their work email for Google Doc reporting and notify us of your agency fiscal staff changes, please. Email invoices to the fiscal team. Use whole dollar amounts for OMH, OASIS, and OPWDD invoices. Have all insurance policies active to avoid a hold on any invoice. Do not duplicate invoice numbers. The controller's office does not pay an invoice if it's already in there as the same invoice number, and they do not notify us. Controller's office determines the pay date of all invoices once I have processed them. Send in paperwork to the controller's office for ACH payments, and you should contact Dave Spadone to get the proper paperwork to be able to be set up if you already are not set up for ACH payments. Communicate with the fiscal team if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, common problems and how to avoid them, key takeaways. So some of this is repetition, but it's a few important points you wanted to maybe re-emphasize. So just make sure to read the emails and instructions thoroughly and carefully. follow the instructions. That's cliche, right? But really, we ask everybody to pay close attention to the instructions. Even if you're not new to it, sometimes we just get into bad habits and assume it's okay. And so we just ask that you really follow, the call letter that's laid out and all the emails related to the contract process carefully. Once again, calendar all your due dates. It's very helpful if you at any time aren't sure about something being due. I think Gabe just mentioned it, but Melissa also mentioned a bunch of due dates related to insurance. Reach out to either of them, Gabe if it's fiscal, Mel if it's Melissa if it's insurance related, or just in general to any of us, and we'll make sure that we get you the information that you need. And overall, you can just contact your contract coordinators, which are Tara, Stacy, or Kathleen, contract specialist, which is Melissa, or the fiscal team, which is either myself, Alicia, or Gabe, or all of us, if you have any questions or need assistance. So sort of related to that, it's always a good idea if you are sending an email, unless it's something personal or whatever, but even if you think it's just about the contract or something, if someone's out of the office or whatever, it's always a good idea to at least include one of the other team members. If it's on the program side, you're not sure, copy Amy. If it's on the fiscal side, you're not sure, copy me. But either way, we might be able to answer it, quickly if someone's out of the office, or at least forward it to someone else who might be able to, especially if it's something general or whatever. It just, it always helps to make sure something doesn't slip through the cracks. Where to get more information? Our website, the ECDMH website, information for contract agencies, and you can see the link that's included here. And of course, you have any of us, ECDMH staff, all the names I just went over briefly. Each agency is assigned a contract coordinator. Or if it's especially documents related to a specific, you jumping the gun there? Amy, wasn't I going too slowly? Go back.
That lists everything that you need.
Oh, contract coordinator, contract specialist, or the fiscal team. Ay, ay, ay. It's like speed webinaring here. Who to contact? Again, there's everybody's names that you've heard about. Everybody should be fully aware of all these people pretty much. If you're new, take note. But again, a lot of us are copied on emails that you'll get from other people in the department too. So, but just ask if you need to. Okay, next. Questions. This is the fun part for everybody who loves to talk in front of a bunch of other people. Now is your time. I do just want to state one thing. Too bad it's the 2 of 2 as far as the webinars go. But just, I was thinking while everybody else was talking, and most people already know this, but in case you're new, so as far as the funding goes, like the initial contracts, obviously will state what we know now or what we knew back in August, September, as far as your initial contract amount. But there's need for revisions all the time, all throughout the year, and sometimes even into the next year, we might revise an agency contract that goes back to the previous year. So that will change from time to time for a variety of reasons. It could go up, it could go down, it could be new money issued in one of the letters. There's COLAs, or now they're calling them TII, which is targeted inflationary increases. So those are just a few examples, but those happen a lot, especially if you're a larger agency. And then if you have multiple disabilities, which is multiple funding sources included in your contract, then there's even, more opportunity for the contract or for the funding to change. So, don't ever fret over that. And a lot of it's timing too. So even if you've received an email where you know that your amounts are changing, but as I think Melissa spoke to this earlier, it does take a couple of, several weeks, sometimes more than that, for a contract amendment to be fully executed. So just something to be aware of, especially if you're billing depends where you are in the, throughout the course of the year. So just wanted to bring it up. Make sure you ask. Don't assume that you can bill for something before a contract's fully executed. Make sure you're asking us. It's actually most times better to bill for the lower amount to get that sooner, and then you could always bill for a higher amount later. I think Gabe referenced something about a supplemental, so those options are
May I
available. So
also
just a
add-
couple of things. What's that, Melissa?
May I add that once their invoices are ready, they can send those to fiscal. They do not have to wait until they receive the fully executed contract in order to do so.
Yes, that's a good
That's-
point. So that we're not chasing your invoice down, because we'll know if we can't pay it. Believe me, we know that we can't, so we won't, don't ever worry about that. It won't be paid until we know it can be paid. Actually, there's some guidelines built within the system that won't allow an invoice to be paid until it can be. Mr. Montfort from CCSI, is that your hand I see, or are you just playing around with your keyboard?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Are you sending this? I see you're sending this PowerPoint out. I'm assuming you're going to send it out in the next couple days since the due date is on the 14th.
It will be posted on the website within the next couple of days. So on that same site that you, for our contract agency site,
The
We'll
one that you
post it
just
there.
showed on the screen a couple minutes ago?
yep, and I can post that also in the chat so everyone has it.
Okay, yeah.
It's the same website link that we've had for years. We just updated each year.
If anybody has any issue at all, just email one of us, and I think, right, this came up yesterday. Can we also email it if necessary? I don't know if it's a size issue or whatever, but we should be able to.
My second question is, when do you expect the contracts to be fully executed? If, obviously you get everything, what month would you guess that to be?
Well, it won't be sooner, certainly than January 1st. We have to have access to the county budget in the system, but it's typically, if things are ready to go and everybody gets their paperwork in, I mean, by, mid-January is really, really good. So those will be the first ones, I would say. I don't know if anyone else has a thought on that, but usually we're taking a little bit longer than that. But to your point, Jim, the sooner you get them in, the better. It's kind of like first come, first serve. So if, the sooner you get that paperwork in, and of course, got to be approved, reviewed, all that jazz. But if, the sooner you get it in, the quicker, or the sooner possibility that we can get it fully executed, because obviously it's a $2 billion county budget, right? The county's huge, so it's not just contracts from Department of Mental Health that they're going through and approving, so it does take some
Yeah.
time.
As
Last
an
question is-
expectation, Jim, sorry,
What?
the contract coordinators review their documents as they are received. So if you get all of your information to your contract coordinator on November 14th, then those will be reviewed at the front of the pack, and they will start processing those as soon as, their number comes up.
Okay.
And we would likely start the internal process well before January 1st. So there may be some that have an executed date prior to the end of the year.
May I
Okay.
just add that the contract coordinator documents do not have to be withheld until the November 14th deadline. It is highly recommended that you send them before the deadline so that the contract coordinators aren't bombarded with everybody's all at once. Once your agency's contract coordinator documents are approved, that actually begins the funding process and the building process of your initial contract documents. So the sooner the better. We can start as early as November if we have everything from the agency ready and approved.
Awesome.
It's a
so
little
my
over
last-
2 weeks away, so it's coming up quickly. Go ahead, Jim.
My last question is, so let's say there's some funding changes because we don't know what the state letters will be until December, and there's some funding changes. Like, at what point next year do you expect to make any kind of amendments, like mid-year?
Well, we always, and this is always an internal conversation every year, we aim for Q1, and we have gotten better with that. Sometimes we were finding that it wasn't until April, but we are going to try to commit to, I would not say mid-year. I don't want to say that, but we're really hopeful for by March that we could start doing some of them, but maybe more realistically by April. Because don't forget, we had to commit to initial contract amounts. So even if we find something out next week, it doesn't matter. The initial contract amount we're already married to, right? Those are going to be what they're going to be, and then we'll just amend them as early, as soon into the new year as we can. So hopefully that answers your question. But March
Yeah,
is
yep.
pretty reasonable expectation, I think.
All right, thank you.
And I just want to add that amendments happen at any time for other years. So you might simultaneously get a 2024 amendment and a 2023 amendment along, within a day or so of your initial contract or in a short period of time. Just pay attention to the subject lines that will always have the year and what number amendment is going on.
Gabe? I think you're on
Yep,
mute.
sorry, I just
yeah.
wanted to add to what David said with Jim's questions, and that was usually Q1 and Q2 invoices are probably going to be the same based on the original contract, because if you're sending your Q2 in mid-March or early April, the email might have gone with the PFSD and the FAS from Alicia to change everything, but we haven't received everything back for that fully executed amendment. So our accounting system has not been updated. So I cannot process a Q2 higher invoice. So it's always best to do Q1 and Q2 based on the original. And then I'm only an email away. Your contract coordinator could tell you, I could tell you, just reach out to us and we'd be happy to let you know if it's been approved, if you're unsure, and what the dollar amount for the next quarter can be. Hopefully that helped.
And if it's sizable, so that's a good point, Gabe. And if it's sizable and you're worried about, if it's only a few dollars, then you just add it to Q3. But if it's for some of these larger contracts, if it's a decent amount of money, that's where those supplementals come in. So even if you do Q1, Q2 at 25%, you don't have to wait for Q3. If the amendment's fully executed, you could always do a supplemental, middle of May, let's say, or something like that, of course, based on timing and if everything's gone through or whatever. So yeah, those are all good points, everyone. Tara.
Yes, thank you, Dave. I've reviewed some of contract submissions already, and one of the things that I would encourage everybody not to do, please don't change the name of the documents that we've sent to you. And then when you send them back to us, please keep the names exactly how they were. So when we, because some of that I'm looking at, some of them got changed, so I'm going to go back and fix them to the right naming convention, but please try not to change the document names when you're submitting them back to us. That's all.
Another good point.
Thank you.
So I want to make, hopefully while other people are thinking of what their next question might be, I just wanted to state one general thing I mentioned yesterday. Just we ask that when we reach out to you, regardless of who it is, if it's, insurance related, contract related, if it's a fiscal question, that you make it a point to get back to us, in a timely fashion. Even if you don't have the answer to the question, or even if it's about a due date, especially with due dates too, if you don't think you're going to meet a deadline, please proactively reach out to us and let us know, so that we're not thinking, maybe you got hit by a bus, or you quit, or you don't like us anymore, or any of that stuff. Just keep the line of communication open. It's better. You can see all the people that we have on here. So we're going to have close to 50 contracts this year. Okay. And this is only half of the group because we did one of these yesterday. So and we're limited. We have 3 contract coordinators. There's 2 of us directors. There's 3 total in our fiscal staff. It's a $70 million budget that we're all trying diligently.
There's one person processing insurance and contracts.
That's right. That's exactly right. One person processing all those contracts, and there could be, as Melissa stated, there could be amendments from a previous year. So at any time, there could be 90 or 100 contracts in place. So point being, just honor our time as we try to do it with you guys. And especially now with all of this uncertainty over funding and all of that, communication is key. So I just wanted to mention that. So it, may sound obvious, but please just, if we reach out to you, get back to us, acknowledge the email, tell us when you think it might be. And most of the time, if it's a deadline, I don't want to make this, open season, I'm missing a deadline. I'm just saying if it's a good reason and you think you're going to be a couple days, you're going to miss it or whatever, don't just assume it's fine, okay? Respect our time and reach out to us and let us know what's going on. And, 99% of the time, we're more than willing to accommodate. Sometimes our deadlines are typically related to other deadlines that we have, maybe with turning things over to the state. Like, so for example, we just got done with CBRs for those OASIS providers, so we say we want them by early October. That's because they're clamoring for them. OASIS wants them from us within a couple weeks from there. And we have to review everything and get them over to them. So points made. I just wanted to state that. Thanks.
And I'm gonna sort of double up on that. With the temporary withhold policy that will be implemented with more intentionality, you submitting things on time and getting them approved and being responsive so things can get approved will reduce the possibility of any temporary withholds to your payments. If you're not responsive, if you are not completing your reports on time and submitting the things you need to submit or making corrections in a timely manner, that will significantly increase the likelihood of a temporary payment withhold. So
Our ultimate goal is to get you guys paid in a very, very timely fashion. That's all we're here to do, to help you. So help us help you.
Well said, Mel. Well said. That's certainly what we're out to do. One other point I just want to say, it's really not part of the presentation here, and there'll still be a couple minutes if anyone has questions, but this will relate to most here. Not every single one of our providers has to file a CFR, but for those who do, and Jim, feel free not to put you on the spot, but add to this because you have a lot of knowledge dealing with a lot of other providers in other counties and that kind of thing. But as most of you know, we're transitioning to electronic signatures. So please, everybody, try to stay up on top of that. If you should have gotten communications from the state regarding that, but if this is news to anyone who files a CFR, then chances are you probably missed a memo or something. So you could reach out separately after this if you have questions, but we really need to start getting everybody up to speed as far as having the appropriate, and then it'll be different pages based on the type of CFR that you file, but everybody who files a CFR is in very short order going to have to be electronically signing CFR 3 or 1 or, whatever it is. And then also our commissioner is going to have to be signing your CFR 3. So you're going to need information related to her username. So if people haven't gotten a head start on that, and we'll really talk about that when we have CFR training in the first quarter next year, but we'd rather not wait for that, especially if people are doing revised CFRs now. Yeah, Jim, what do you got?
The only thing I wanted to say to that, because I've seen it already a couple times, even though they've submitted it, there's no notification that the county or any member of the county or anything gets that once been submitted. So you still need to email the CFR to the finance staff so they get it. And then they know you submitted a CFR.
Yeah, great point, Alicia, right? We
Cisco.
encountered that recently. I don't know if you want to add anything there, but
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, it's best to send me the CFR first, and then I can forward on the documents to Sarah for her to sign. It just keeps the process flowing nicely, and then we have our own internal process in place. So
Plus,
try
we
to
don't
keep
know
that.
why the CFR was revised, you know what I mean? So if it's just says somebody just shoots an email off to Sarah, hey, can you put, you know, we really, it's just, so to Alicia's point, it's not the best way to do it. So, please don't do that. Start with us and we'll make sure it gets signed. Anybody else? We keep an eye on the chats. I'm trying to do that. And then lots of people here. Anybody else? Please, now's the time, because if you're thinking of a question, chances are someone else is wondering the same thing and they just, you know, maybe haven't asked it, or they're too shy. They're shy like Jim or like me, who don't like talking in front of all kinds of people. Anyone else? We still have a few minutes here. Anyone else from ECDMH? Oh, Gabe, sorry, I see your hand.
That's okay. Just a reminder, tomorrow, if you haven't gotten it done yet, Q3 2025 cost report actuals are due in Google Docs. And for those who have OSF, the same report is due for Q3 actuals. And just real quickly, just to let you know, I remember getting questions last year on Q4 final. There's a due date. We need the amount of what it is at that point. Don't wait until after your audit or way into April, May to get that done. We need those numbers sooner than that. Reach out to us if you have concerns ahead of time, please. Thank you.
Yep, very good points there.
And also to add on that, quarterly ClearPoint reports are due at the end of October, so by Friday.
Okay, anyone, couple minutes here to go. Anyone else want to, don't be shy? Oh, there's something in the chat. Or is that just a comment? Sorry. Maybe it's just my chat. I don't know. Oh, direct.
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone. You know, and I didn't say it yesterday, Amy, I don't want you to blush, but, very integral in putting this together and holding everyone to the fire here of getting this done. We must have met 15 times, you guys, about putting this webinar together. So we hope it was useful for people. If it wasn't, just keep it to yourself. If it was, please share. Feel free to share your thoughts with us, either here in the chat or follow up with an email or whatever. But thank you to everyone for taking the hour out of your busy schedules, and doesn't mean you still can't ask questions. So if you have any, you know, just follow up with somebody after this. We'll get the presentation out, as Amy said, in due course here. And thanks again to everyone. If we don't talk, happy holidays, and we'll be seeing you all. We'll hang out just for another minute if anyone's got anything. Otherwise,